Communication is the single most important skill that you can develop. It affects your relationships, your opportunities, every single impression you make. And I decided to improve my communication skills months ago, and I took a 28-day challenge to actually improve it, which is basically 4 weeks. Here's what changed and here's what I did in all those 4 weeks. Just 28 days, follow this plan, and you cannot stop yourself from becoming a great communicator. Let's begin. The first thing that I did was actually I recorded myself speaking. Now, this video was an uncut video and it was in my last channel, which sadly got deleted. It was basically I was answering 5 questions, and didn't matter how I speak, I was gonna upload it and I was gonna see how I spoke at that time. And then I would do the same thing at the end of 28 days and see how it worked out. I think I've made a lot of improvements since that time till here. These were the 5 questions. First question was, what is my name and why do I want to learn communication skills? The second question was, what is my favorite food and why? The third question was, what is my favorite hobby and why? The fourth question was, what is my favorite drink and why? And the fifth question was, how would you feel if you actually became a good communicator at the end of this challenge? Most of the things that I learned about communication, to be honest, I learned it from Vin Yang. If you are watching this video, you should check his channel out. I'll mention him above there, and also I might put it in the description below if I'm not lazy. When I decided to record for the first time, when I recorded that video, I made a lot of mistakes. Not gonna lie, I made a lot of mistakes. But I learned from that mistakes. Next time I spoke, it was probably, there was this video on Dream Team, which was basically you do a speech in front of your parents at the end of the school year. And I think I communicated really great and I gave a great speech. The best part, I didn't even prepare for it. Most people took like months of preparations, and what I did, while I was coming from the taxi, I opened AI and I asked it for bullet points because it already knew what I normally do, and it just gave me all the bullet points and I just expanded on it on my own when I was given that speech. I think that was an experience I would probably never forget. Now, how did I manage to do that and what did I do in between those 28 days? The first week begins with that video. I recorded myself doing that video, you should too. Once you have recorded it, you have to audit it in 3 ways. You have to review it in 3 ways. The first way is close the audio and just watch yourself. How is your facial expressions? How is your hand gestures? When you think you're a great communicator, what would that person speak like? Second thing you need to do is put your phone down, which has the recording in it, while it's playing, and just listen to the audio. Does it sound good to you? Have you put enough emphasis on certain words? Have you not put certain emphasis on certain words? Let me give you an example. If you're more confident of what you're speaking, you will probably end going down. What I mean by that is, for example, if I am saying AI was the best thing I learned, and compared to AI was the best thing I learned, if I'm going up at the last second, the communication that I did the first time would probably sound better than what I did the second time, because you go down the volume when you're more confident of what you're speaking compared to going up, which is really annoying if I keep doing that whenever I'm speaking. So yeah, I won't do that. But yeah, that is the thing I did. And the third way you audit or review it is you look at it and you just look at it, put it down, and you see both the audio and hand gestures and see if they both align. Now, if you're doing this perfectly, you probably don't even need to do the challenge. But for me, it didn't work out perfectly. There were things I could improve. And if there's things you can still improve after that and you're not satisfied with the video you got, you need to follow the rest of the 3 weeks. Now, one thing that helped me throughout this challenge was vocabulary. because in order to become a good speaker, you need to have good vocabulary. Now, to see what vocabulary you need to know about, first of all, basic vocabularies. For example, if I'm trying to say happy, I can say euphoric, and there's many things I can do. It really gives an impact. Instead of saying 10 years, I would say decade. Instead of saying basic, I would say either essential or standard. So the synonyms of each word which sound better than the actual word is what you need to actually learn in order to become a great communicator. Now, when you are learning these vocabularies, these are the basic words you need to know. The second type or the second set of vocabularies that you need to learn about is the things you'll probably speak about. For example, because my channel is about productivity, discipline, I learned about words related to that. I learned about topics. To become a great communicator, you need to know about the stuff you're actually speaking. That's why, however, the format of this channel, I normally do the stuff and then I tell you what I've done, because the things I've already done, I can actually speak about it. So I actually know about it, so I don't need to think that much and I can actually communicate well because I've actually lived it before. And the thing you have lived is really easy to explain to another person. Now, if you have done all that, and during the first week you are trying to build vocabularies and you're just trying to speak, one thing I will tell you: if you want to become a great communicator, you need to communicate. You need to speak. Doesn't matter if you want to do it or not, speak every single day. Decide on a topic. When I was first starting out, I decided on a topic every day and I talked for 20 minutes on the same topic. Doesn't matter how many cuts I had to do. Actually, I didn't do a cut because I didn't edit that video, neither did I post that video. But what I did was, every time I did any sort of communication wrong, I would see what could I have said before, or instead of that gap or bad thing that I said, and I could actually make it good by saying something else. So for example, I was talking about apples, which was my favorite fruit. That was the topic of the day. And I got like stuck from I like apples because it was something like that. And then I realized I like apples because they are healthy. Now it's easier for me because back then it was really hard and I couldn't decide on the go. But the more you do it, the better you will get at it. For the first, I think, 10 days, I just kept making videos on random topics. I normally asked AI for the topics. And I was like, give me a topic I can speak about. And I talked on that topic for 10 minutes. And I think that really upscaled my communication skills. I hope that's a term. Imagine talking about vocabulary and you're saying the wrong words. Anyways, let's come back to the video. Coming on to the second week. For me, the second week is, I think, the most important week because most people quit. But for me, it was 4 days because I was normally recording videos on the first 10 days and seeing what worked out every single day. Now, for the next 4 days, what I did, you can do it for the entire week if you want. I observed. I looked at other communicators, speakers that I felt inspired by. One of them is Vin Yang, and other YouTubers that you probably even know, don't know, doesn't matter. If there's someone you think speaks really well and you want to speak like them, go for it, find them and see how they speak and try and implement and copy, because you learn by copying. Let me give you an example. If I am trying to cook a dish, for example, I'm trying to make pasta. Now, the first I make pasta, I watched a YouTube tutorial and I made the pasta. Now, once I had made the pasta, I made it for like 4 or 5 days, and the 6th day, I started adding things from my own mind. And that adding your own things from your own mind is what will make you different. But in order to think about those things, you need to know how to actually do the main thing. And you learn that main thing by copying. I couldn't make the white pasta entirely by myself. I needed to copy it from someone else. So, whenever you are learning about speaking, Look at different speakers, observe how they speak, their hand gestures, their facial expressions, their voice, their tones, and see how you can implement it to the way you speak. And that would really take your speaking skills to the next level. And that leads me on to the third week, which is pitch and volume. Now, the pitch and the volume is something that really is like an instrument. So when you're learning an instrument, there's different keys for a piano, let's just say. The more keys you explore and you get better at, the better pianist you'll be. I hope that's how it works. It's the same for speaking. The more you see or you speak and you speak at different pitches, the more you'll get better at it. For example, let's say I had to pretend to be two people at the same time. Let's say I would have to be someone else who had a different tone of voice, and I had to be the mentor and a student, let's just say, and I had to pretend to make a conversation between a teacher and a student. Here's how I would do it. Hey, have you done the homework? No, sir. It would be something like that. Now, in order to do that was a very bad example, but in order to do that, I needed to learn about the high pitch and the low pitch. So, what this did was actually, I unlocked most of the pitches and volumes. There's different pitches and volumes, and some of the places where you need different volumes and different pitches, you need to do it. Sometimes you need to use a very high-pitched voice compared to sometimes you need to use a low-pitched voice. Somewhere you need to be really loud, somewhere you need to actually whisper. So, for example, if I had to give you another example, did you know that I make videos on productivity? So, when I whispered, did you know? You actually paid more attention to the thing I was speaking because my tone suddenly changed. Because when things change, we normally pay attention to it. If something changes or breaks the pattern, we pay attention to it. For example, if the sky just became orange one day and you look at it and you would be like, what's going on? And when change brings attention, so you can change your voice in order to gain people's attention. I'm not going to do it in all my videos, but yeah, most of the time you can use it in order to gain attention, and these are the ways you can use pitches and volumes to actually make your voice or the speech you're giving more interesting. The fourth week is application. And for me, the fourth week when I applied this was the dream team. I've already told you the story. I took the speech using AI, and because I had already made like 10 videos of me speaking about apples, bottles, bananas, cars, bikes, everything, I actually didn't need to remember the speech word for word. I could just get the bullet points, remember the bullet points, and then make the speech according to it. So yeah, if you unlock that level of communication skills, I am very sure your life will be improved. I think write down in the comment sections below that I will follow this 28 days challenge. Tell me how it worked out for you. And did it work out well? Did it work out not? Come back after 28 days. Write down if it worked, if you actually improved or not. So other people who will be watching this video don't mess anything up. Tell what improvements you would make, anything else you would add. And yeah, that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, bye bye.